Welcome back to Ship, a team building focused podcast. This is my 8th podcast in this world. I've stopped saying launched, guys, because when you hit the 8, you're there, right? Well, I'm here to talk and work through a very special and important subject for all companies, all businesses, large or small. Building a better team that has the customer in mind. This is missing from everyday life. There are companies large and small that have forgotten who are paying their salaries or the bills of the company that individual works for. You see it every day. Trust me. Thank you to everybody excuse me, that has returned and given me feedback. Keep it up. It is definitely welcome as I want to make this podcast more usable and enjoyable for you. RA Enterprises is here to help everyone. Anyone can learn, anyone can help. Over my years as the Director of Operations at PLP Logistics, I have learned and seen how a good team can impact others. Not just in our individual department, but across the spectrum of the entire company. RA Enterprises is how I'm giving back to others, how I'm helping them and serving them. At the same time, it's going to make me a better person and a better husband and father to my kids and teammate and leader as well. Ripped from headlines this week. Well, this one's a little on the transportation based. I thought it was sort of interesting because it touches many different avenues. ArcBest, which is also known as ABF Freight, has different verticals. And they've now decided to deploy an AI onto their autonomous forklifts in their warehouse vertical. And this is straight from a news clipping that they had. The robots can now better recognize objects, track human motion, and make informed decisions that guide its path for safer, more flexible, and more efficient operations. Now, depending on how you feel about AI or autonomous, I would say this is, just bringing the trucking world more into the, where we're at with technology. Technology is being more and more introduced to our vertical in our industry, and this is just another example of it. Many customers already have this in their warehouses when they're picking orders. So just again, something there to think about. Today, I want to talk about something that we all like, something that we all typically take, PTO, paid time off, vacation, and how that can lead to good team chemistry and morale, not just on your team, but within the entire company as well. And I want to we all take PTO for different reasons. It could be for vacation, could be you have a doctor's appointment, could be your children are out of school, could be you need a mental health day. Every company is a little different. Every company has a different PTO or time off policy. Some, you can just take it off whenever you want and you have as many days as you want. Some are that have to be a little more planned out. You have to give a 2-week notice or a week notice. It could be as many as, call it 5 a year, or as many as like 30 a year. Could be that you receive that PTO as you work normal working hours, accrued time. So you work 40 hours, you get 4 hours PTO, something like that, right? We all take time off. We all need to take time off. So I want to talk about how that then affects not just you as the employee, but your group around you, your team members. Depending on the size of your company, somebody will either A, cover your position, or B, won't. So you'll walk back into a pile of work, or you'll walk back into nothing at all, or a little bit. So that's also important to note. Wherever you are in your career, wherever you are within your organization, the taking and use of vacation hits you differently. It affects the people around you differently. If you're in a large company, small company, it's very interesting how PTO works. It truly is. Now, within my company that I work at PLP Logistics, we have a very nice, vacation plan, if you want to call it that. We get 16 items a year that we can use. We have to give a 2-week notice on it, which is pretty standard in businesses, that 2 week. But we give it to you at the beginning of the year. Every calendar year, January 1 rolls around, that's what you get. And we also have a progression on that. And I don't know it by heart, but I think it's after 5 years you get another bump, and then after I think we just installed another bump. You get a couple more years, but the point here is that when I put in for time off, or one of my team members submits their time off to me, it is in a area, in a realm that it's for them. They can take it off for vacation, true vacation. They can take it off for medical, doctor's appointments, etc., kids, mental health, whatever it chooses. I've personally taken time off just to go play golf. Yes, good old game of golf. Get out there and hit them sticks, man. You got to do it. But what happens when you do that, right? Every company is a little different. But if your team is a good team, no matter if you're in a large, big, huge, humongous company with thousands of employees, or if you're in a small business with, let's say, 5, everybody, if you have a good team, your team's going to pitch in. Your team is going to help you. That team is going to support you. A well-rounded team will always work better when somebody takes time off. At the end of the day, the customer is the one that wins. Think about it. If you have a well-rounded team, when you have everybody there, they're not skipping a beat, the customer is ultimately winning because they're getting served. Their phone calls are getting answered, emails are getting answered, orders are being packed, orders are being shipped, orders are being produced, right? Your team will always work. Boom, 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 just like that. Now, take one employee out. That team still has to work. Boom, 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 boom. They have to still put the parts together, put the item together, answer the phone, answer the emails, be cordial, help the customer. If your team is dysfunctional, you will find out just how dysfunctional they are when somebody takes time off. You will. That's a promise. And a guarantee. I just gave my first guarantee. It's part of my podcast. That's awesome. But yes, you will find out just where the cracks are when people take PTO, even in a well-rounded, great team. But when that employee takes off, you will see others pitch in. You will see others' chemistry and the morale. They might notice something that they will then bring back up when that employee comes back and helps them out with. Maybe it's something really small. Maybe it's a big problem. I don't know what your situation is. But what I can tell you is a team that works together, a team that wins together, is a team that loses together. Think about that. You hear that a lot in baseball, football, hockey, athletic sports, right? That you win as a team, lose as a team. And I think I've even said that on some of my earlier podcasts. But it's true. If your team has that ingrained in its DNA, that you're there to serve the customer, and you win with the customer as a team, or you lose with the customer as a team, that DNA will strengthen everything about your department, everything about your team. Now, why do you take time off? We'll take the easiest one, right? Doctor's appointments. Depending on what you have going on in your personal life, it might be just as simple as a once-a-year physical. Guilty. I don't go to the doctor much. I probably should go more, but I don't. But when I take that time off to go have my annual physical with my doctor to make sure that me, Eric Ransom, is healthy, I'm doing a service for my company, for my teammates, for my wife, and for my children. That's a very important thing. So there could be other things that go on, right? You actually need to go to the doctor. There's something wrong with you. something's not right. You need to figure out what's going on. So those are all reasons to take PTO. You might one that has become more and more prevalent since I was in elementary, middle school. Mental health days, right? You're drained. You're like, oh, all right. I'm gonna take the day, recharge, sleep off, whatever it is. That's important too. Recognize that your employees, your teammates might just need a day. And then the other side of PTO, the one that we're most all used to, vacations, right? It's planned out. You're spending some cash. You're going skiing. You're going to the beach. You're going to the mountains. Maybe you're doing a staycation. Maybe you're staying home because you got a bunch of yard work to do. Guilty. But that's all possible. So you have different flavors of that. Now, if it's planned out, meaning it's an actual vacation, you're going to get your 2 weeks. More than likely, you're going to plan that probably a month out or 2 months out. Just depends on what type of vacation it is and where you're going. But your teammates are going to help you launch into that PTO. Now, I say it all the time around my team, and it sounds sort of negative, but it's not, because as a team, we recognize that that's going on, and we ask a lot of good questions. But leading into a vacation, people tend to get what some call, and I definitely call it, short-timers disease. It's where in 2 days you're going on PTO. So you get a little lax in a couple of the things you do. Or you've already started to transition some of your stuff off of you into another person because it's something that's going to need to be followed up or done, completed while you're on PTO. So you slid it over there so you don't have as much going on in that day. So as a team, if you're working together and you're communicating and you're involving each other as a team and teammates, team members, and pairing up for that, then you don't have any problems. That planned vacation is actually the easiest PTO morale booster and chemistry booster there is. Now, I will say, I just got done with some PTO this last week. I knew I was going to go down to Savannah, Georgia for their 200th celebration of St. Patrick's Day. I knew that was going to happen. So I was looking forward to it, but it was a chance for me to recharge my batteries. So that's also part of planned vacation, is recharging of the batteries. It's a mental health time period where you can just let it go. I think there's a saying, I forget what Disney movie it is, but let it go, let it go. My two daughters still sing that to this day. But so that's sort of the plan, right? Let's get to sort of the surpriser ones, right? I'm sick. I'm actually sick. I'm throwing up. Unfortunately, 4 years ago, overnight with COVID, you didn't know if you were sick. All of a sudden, it hits you like that. So that can happen every day. You could wake up and not feel good. If you don't feel good, what do? Most of us, because we have today's world, text our supervisors. Now, depending on your company or company setup, you might have to send an email. You might have to call a certain phone number or contact your HR department, which then notifies your supervisor. When you're sick, that means nothing's planned. Nothing. You didn't transition work that needs to get done or completed. There was no changing of scheduling. If you're an employee that comes in early and covers the first 2 hours and nobody else is there, or if you're the last employee because you work a later shift and you're still the only one there, those are two things that can definitely be effective. But think about this. If you're a team and you got good chemistry and morale already, PTO for someone sick, heck yeah, stay at home. Don't come in. I don't want the funk. COVID, the flu, even some of the 24-hour stomach bugs, absolutely stay at home. If you're in a company that you can work remote in those situations, great for you. It's not true of every position in every company. And even still, you might feel like garbage. Nobody even wants to work remote if you feel like garbage, right? I mean, me personally, I sleep most of the time. And I take really long, hot showers. Just because that makes me feel better when I feel like garbage. If I can feel 2% better, great. So you have to think about that. The spur of the moment, you're sick. Okay, that also would flip into sort of the mental health, right? That can also be a spur of the moment. You wake up, oh, can't believe that's going on in my life. Can't believe I have to deal with that person because they were supposed to be out of my life. Whatever it is. It could be family related. It could be your personal life related. It could be a children related thing. But those mental health days that you just wake up, sort of like being sick, and you call in, again, your team will pick you up. They're there to catch you. Now, I'm not one for trust falls because when I do a trust fall, I don't fall straight back. My legs buckle and I do this whole funky thing and I end up hitting the ground anyways because I don't fall correctly during the trust fall. Unless they're braced around me and they know because I just can't fall correctly. I could never be an actor. I never could be an actor because I'm horrible at that. But that trust fall, right? Your team has you. I guarantee you, your team has you. Nobody wants you to be sick. Nobody wants you to have a horrible environment. Nobody wants you to be down in the dumps. Your team and your team chemistry and your team morale is all about the team. And then what happens? That team has a customer to serve. That customer is served so well by the team because it takes a bunch of individuals to make a team. If you have that loyalty to each other, if you have that trust in one another, who wins? Well, yes, your team wins. Number one. It's like I said in the very beginning, right? Why am I doing this? I want you to help you build a better team that has the customer in mind. Again, when teams work well, the customer wins. Who's that customer? It's the one buying that product off the shelf. It's the one buying that product off a car lot. It is the roofer. It's the homeowner from the roofing company. It's the chemical company that's sending paint somewhere. It's the golf course that is providing a service to golfers for entertainment purposes and athletic purposes. So you have to really, really sit back and think about your team. Your team is going to catch you. I guarantee you, no team member wants you to be feeling bad. No team member wants you to be sick. No team member wants you to have a bad headspace. Because as a team member, they love you. They respect you. They want you to be happy. PTO, time off, and vacation. It's a very important time for every employee. So I've been talking about it from like the employee's perspective. Let's talk about it from the employer perspective. You want your team members, your managers, your normal staff members, your leadership team. You want them to take time off. You want them to recharge their batteries. You want them to stay at home when they're sick. Why? Because at the end of the day, the customer wins. It still comes back to that customer. Okay? The reason why every company in the world, since the dawn of time, is to serve somebody something. You're producing something for somebody. That customer is your ultimate goal and your ultimate prize. If your employee is sick, they are going to have less productivity. Let's just take the flu. When you had the flu, you're not at your workstation. If you force them to come to the office, you're crazy, you're nuts. If you force them to work remote, you're crazy, you're nuts. Trust me, you are. Your employees are your team. You treat all of them like you do yourself. You have no double standards. You have no loopholes where you treat yourself or your leadership different than the rest of the employee group. It is, bar none, across the board, completely even. If they are sick, let them stay home. Let them stay in the bed. Because they need to get better. And when they come back to work, they're going to work for you. They're going to pick up where they left off. Like that. Mental health days is the same thing. Don't look on down on those. Just like sick days, it throws a wrench into processes. It throws a wrench into meetings. But they need that. You don't know what's going on in their life. Hopefully your team shares, but you're not going to know 100% of everything in their life. You're just not. You don't know if they got a phone call in the middle of the night because there was a tragic accident. You don't know if they've been dealing with something personal health-wise for a while. You just don't know that. So you need to give them the grace and the flexibility so that when they are sick or they need a mental health day, it just happens. Now, I work for a great company that allows us to do that. I think that every company should be that flexible. Now, time off, paid time off, vacation time off, right? Now, I'm sort of old school in this way. I enjoy the fact that we have a 2-week notice on vacation. I like that. I think that helps set the right tone for the team. I think that then gives you the ability then to lead into that. Let that person go on vacation with a good mindset of, hey, I got my stuff done. I've got the things transitioned. They can take that deep breath. Then they can go off on that vacation wherever they're going by themselves or with their family, their wives, their husbands, their kids. You want them to launch into that vacation with as little stress as possible. Because vacation is stressful sometimes. Depends on where you're going. If you're getting on a plane, it might be delayed, blah, blah, blah. All the crazy things we've all heard of. Right? But it's important to encourage them to take time off. It's important to encourage them to take multiple days in a row off. There are certain industries in our country that are, when you take time off, you must take 5 days. That's part of our regulation setups. Some companies do require you to take 3 days, 2 days, or 5 days. That's important because when you sort of put down the law of the land, if you will, and you give your employees the green light to take 5 days off of work or 3 days off of work, you're showing them the compassion that as a business owner or CEO or leadership team, that you love them and that you really, really, really want them at their top of their game. You want them to be successful. So think about that. If you have a little bit harder vacation time usage or even the ability to award it, think about changing that. Bring it up in your leadership meetings. Depending on your leadership structure, I think it would be very important. I personally do not like the accrual system. I don't think it's fair to the employee. They're going to work hard for you no matter if they accrue it or if they get it straight at the beginning of the year. I'm one of those. Again, I get when I came into the company, I got 15 or 16 days right off the bat. I didn't use them. And for me personally, I don't use a lot of them until we get into the fall. The fall's my giddy time, just for different reasons. But that's where I take a lot of my PTO is in the fall. So I don't use it during the spring and the winter, spring, and then the summer times. But your use of allowing your team to use PTO needs to be encouraged from the top down. Don't make it difficult. Yes, you need your checks and balances. Yes, you need to make sure you have coverage. If you have a department or a certain vertical within a department that doesn't have very many staff members, you might have to pick and choose. If you have 3 people in a department and all 3 put in for the same date, you're going to have to use rational decision making there and figure out how to make it happen. Maybe one of those employees gets disappointed they don't get the time off. But guess what? If all 3 ask for the same day, have a conversation with them. Say, hey guys, all 3 of you put time off for the same day. I would love to give you all 3 of them off, but I can't. We have to get the job done. So I'll make you a deal. Have that conversation with all 3 of them at the same time. Do not do it individually. Don't. Because one of them, through that interaction of all 3 at the same time, could be like, well, I was literally just to take it off, just take it off. I was going to sit at home and binge watch Netflix. I mean, so that person might say, I can work. No worries. The other 2 can have it off. That's the compassion. That is the love that a team can have. That's the chemistry you want to continue to build tighter and tighter and tighter on your team. You don't have to make the decision as leadership. That comes from in the trenches, the guys, the ladies, just working together, that chemistry, that morale that they have for each other, that love that they have for each other. So please keep that in mind. And I will leave you with somewhat of a final thought on this. It is something that I do truly think we have to really think about hybrid work and remote work within time off. How does that affect those individuals that are 100% remote? We can't use that against them. I know I've heard stories, I've read articles that remote work employees are treated different, and it's wrong. Every employee, no matter if they're in a brick and mortar facility or if they're remote or a hybrid of both, you got to be flexible with it. If someone needs to switch a remote day in a hybrid situation, let's say they're at the office Monday, Tuesday, and remote Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, be flexible in that. Because the team will benefit from it. Just remember that love and compassion within your team will spur that chemistry, stir that around, make it a nice even mixture, because your customer will win. Remote employees, it's definitely an interesting angle. It's one I haven't personally done a ton of work on, or research, I should say. But we have to think about that. We have to think about how that influences in the different things. Remote workers tend to actually work more hours, and they also tend to work when they're not feeling as well. We don't know it as team members and as managers and leaders. We might not realize that remote worker doesn't feel well because they don't feel they can or should put the time in for PTO because they're sick. So just think about that as you go through and make changes in your organization. Shout out Corner. Well, as you can see, I got my St. Patty's Day shirt on because Shout Out Corner is all about the parade down in Savannah. Thank you to all the volunteers, all the officials, the police, the fire department, everybody that made that parade a success. It was huge. It was awesome. I can't even begin to tell you how much fun and interactions that I had. It was just outstanding. St. Patty's Day in Savannah is always crazy. It's always nuts. But this year is a 200th celebration for the city of Savannah. It was just a killer time. Now, I took this from their website, and I think this is good in the pillars of just any organization, but what they try and produce down there for the parade. We continue to focus our parade around faith, family, and friends. We keep faith as the primary reason to celebrate. We put we put on extremely family-friendly parade on the streets and encourage you to celebrate the culture with your family and friends. I think that's pretty important. And then within that, most people claim to be Irish every St. Patty's Day. It's actually funny how many Irish Americans we have. I'm actually Irish, yes, but I also have Scotch in me. So at the same time, I party, I have fun. Now, along with that, a little bit outside of Shout Out Corner, but still on the Irish topic, which you're going to see that also in the quote of the week here in a second. But Rochester, New York, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin are two U.S. cities with the most Irish pubs per capita. New York, 1.84. Milwaukee, 1.59 per 100,000 people, respectively. Wow. I've been to New York City a few times. I've been to New York, been to Rochester, but I was a little bitty baby when I was in Rochester, I'll be honest. I want to go back to Rochester. I've never been to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I think I want to go. Let's go have some. You guys have green beer more than once a year? I don't know. So thank you guys. Thank you again to the city of Savannah for such a great time. The hospitality, it was awesome. Quote of the week corner. Well, we're keeping with the Irish theme. Top of the morning to you. Just an Irish saying. Wishing you a pot of gold and all your joy of your heart can hold. And also, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. Those are three sort of just Irish sayings. I was like, do I go find like a specific Irish person? Well, okay, well, if I do that, will any of us normal people know who they are? It's just exciting. I love this time of year. I do. Because guess what? My grass is turning green. I scalped it. Yes, we're getting into great weather. And I really want everybody to have a great week. I want you to celebrate yourselves and your teams and your family members and your children. Definitely thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow me here on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Have a great week. God bless you.